Several years ago, late Nintendo president Satoru Iwata did not think Nintendo should ever enter the mobile gaming marketplace. Shortly before his untimely passing, though, he softened that stance and paved the way for Nintendo to enter the smart device app and game market by helping forge partnerships with DeNA and Niantic. While Miitomo, Nintendo's first outing on smartphones, was more cute social network than it was game, it does little to capture an older crowd. The impressive augmented reality game Pokémon Go allowed players to find and catch their favorite Pokémon in their own towns and dominated the mobile game landscape and discussion for months. Unfortunately, Mr. Iwata's death in July of 2015 meant he would not get to see the finished products. His initial reluctance to the smart device world, and his eventual shift on that position, did pave the way for Nintendo to become a player in the mobile gaming market. A market that is here to stay, yet lousy with flash-in-the-pan or low-quality titles. Pokémon Go showed Nintendo's commitment to doing something good with their characters and properties. By committing one of their most beloved franchises to explore the new landscape of mobile gaming, Nintendo proved that they weren't messing around. That commitment was cemented even further in September of 2016. Shigeru Miyamoto appeared at Apple's iPhone event to announce a brand new game from Nintendo, and the first Mario title the legendary designer had been so directly involved with in years. A timed exclusive for Apple's iOS family of tablets and phones, Super Mario Run is the plumber's first journey into the unfamiliar landscape of smart devices. But with Miyamoto at the helm, can the Mario formula really work on a smart device? Super Mario Run is a couple of things, but there's a few things it isn't. It isn't an endless runner, the game features levels, objectives, time limits, etc., and it also isn't a straight-up Super Mario Bros. Game, at least in the way we're used to playing them. Mario runs automatically to the right, and you can make him jump by tapping the screen. The longer you hold the screen, the higher he jumps. Mario's also got some new parkour moves and automatically vaults over small enemies and ledges. It all seems on paper to be really basic, but a few other of Mario's trademark moves are here too, such as wall jumping and spinning mid-jump to adjust your descent and go a little further. The real fun comes from jumping off of enemies. Tapping the screen while vaulting over enemies allows Mario to leap off of them, defeating them and gaining a lot of airtime. And in true Mario style, stomping many enemies in a row earns extra coins, and the vault jump is sometimes the best way to reach certain platforms. Outside of those jumps, you really don't have any other input on Mario's movements, so he will just keep running towards the goal pole on his own. If it was just that mechanic alone, Super Mario Run would feel a lot like many other one-button type games on the App Store. But the level design really helps define the experience, with Mario wall jumping through hazards or jumping on cannonballs and kicking Koopa shells around. It manages to feel like an actual Super Mario game by building familiar Mario mechanics and levels around such a simple control method. Mario's jump takes some getting used to, and I think a large part of that is because you're not pushing a button in that has some tactile feedback. But just like all the other Super Mario Bros. Games, tapping to jump just how you need to becomes muscle memory very quickly. Combined with blocks that allow Mario to climb along the ceiling, stop and wait for an opening, or even blocks to let Mario long jump or somersault backwards, Super Mario Run takes the simple jump and crafts an entire Mario experience around it. That satisfactory feeling of well-performed platforming hasn't changed, even when Mario is sprinting to the goal on his own. Super Mario Run is a free-to-try type of game, which honestly is basically a demo. This is worth talking about because it's a huge point of contention that a lot of people are taking issue with, and it's understandable why. When you download the game, you'll be running through 3 levels, until you reach the 4th level of the first world, when you hit the paywall. In an interesting diversion from a lot of games on the App Store, Super Mario Run features no in-app purchases outside a $10 transaction to play all of the levels in the game's World Tour mode. So, those curious about the game but not sure if they want to fork over the asking price can give it a shot and see if they enjoy it and see if the game is for them. However, many people either thought the game was going to be free to play with microtransactions and ads, or offer levels a la carte. Instead, Nintendo treats the game like a complete package, meaning to unlock the full version of things, you'll need to fork over those $10. That opens up the full World Tour mode, which, by completing those levels, unlocks content elsewhere in the game. It's a move not many were aware of, and some don't like, and others are praising, but let's talk about the price and the problem with it in a minute, and return our focus to the gameplay. The World Tour mode is the basic Super Mario Run experience, and it's pretty much like a short Super Mario Bros. Game. Peach bakes Mario a cake, Bowser kidnaps the princess, and destroys most of the Mushroom Kingdom. While you can clear the 6 worlds of World Tour mode pretty quickly and rescue Princess Peach, each of the 24 levels features 3 sets of challenge coins for you to collect, and you'll have to master the jumping mechanic and the timing to gather them all. And they aren't easy to get either. It's not all perfect, as some of the levels are pretty easy just to get through, and none of them last long enough to make much of an impact. The bosses are all too easy as well, with old Boom Boom still being the lame encounter he's been for years, and the classic Phantom Bowser encounters in Fortresses are all about quick timing and luck, or just taking a hit, than they are about skill with the new gameplay mechanics. In addition to World Tour is Kingdom Builder, where you can spend the coins you collect while playing on buildings and decorations to fix up the Mushroom Kingdom after Bowser blew it all up. But a kingdom needs citizens, and you'll recruit toads to live in your kingdom by impressing them in the Toad Rally. Toad Rally is sort of like a score attack mode. Using rally tickets you earn in World Tour or from bonuses in Kingdom Builder, you can pick an opponent and race against them in a mashup of different level segments from World Tour. You don't race against anyone in real time, but rather they're ghosts from that player's own jaunt through the level. Your objective really isn't so much a race though, as it is a performance. By collecting coins and performing captivating stunts, more and more toads will show up to cheer you on. Whoever has the most coins and the larger crowd at the end of the time limit is the winner, and a bunch of toads will move into your kingdom. If you lose, however, some of your toads will be so disappointed that they will actually move out. Reaching a certain population of toads will increase your kingdom's level and allows you to buy different decorations and buildings from the shop, while most of those items and decorations will have their own requirements to purchase them, such as having a certain population of different colored toads. You can see who is expected to show up for each round of Toad Rally when you pick your opponent. These toads will cheer for all sorts of things, from leaping from enemies while vaulting over them, stomping several of them in a row, to a variety of other acrobatic moves Mario can perform. Performing tricks will eventually earn you a coin rush, where coins fly out from everywhere, allowing you to earn a lot more than what's lying around the level. And as you defeat enemies in World Tour and Toad Rally, they will eventually drop more coins each time you defeat them too, giving you a small advantage. The trick to Toad Rally becomes not only getting enough coins, but also becoming more stylish and daring than the other player. It's in Toad Rally where you really explore the depth of the one-button jumping mechanic, because being aware of what's going on in the level and understanding how to pull off the coolest combinations will earn you cheers and coin rushes. A keen feel for the level design and the control will be key to winning, and it's an amazingly addictive aspect to the game. The same goes for World Tour levels as a whole, as mastery over the jumping control and how to navigate the levels is amazingly satisfying. It's not just Mario who's constantly running in this game. Luigi, Peach, and others are unlockable to play as well. Peach is playable after completing World Tour, and Toad is a reward for linking your My Nintendo account with the game. But Luigi, Yoshi, and Toadette all have houses you'll have to build in Kingdom Builder in order to unlock them. Everyone plays a little differently too, just as you'd expect. Toad runs the fastest, Peach can glide slowly, Yoshi can flutter jump and walk on some hazards, and Luigi jumps the highest. Toadette, it seems, is actually identical to Mario, and only Mario and Luigi can use the Super Mushrooms, meaning Yoshi, Toad, Peach, and Toadette can only take one hit from an enemy before popping into their bubble. You can use any character you like in rallies or to hunt for challenge coins in World Tour, where sometimes they'll just be easier to reach with a different character. Though Kingdom Builder grants you access to bonus games and special levels if you build the appropriate buildings, it is largely a place to collect bonuses from question mark boxes every few hours and poke around with your Toad friends. It's really just a large and pure time killer. The real fun and charm of Super Mario Run is the World Tour and the Rally. With handcrafted levels that really do feel like they're right out of a normal Mario game, Super Mario Run manages to play much better than the standard mobile arcade fare. The game is Mario, pure and simple, with a pick-up-and-play nature that anyone can enjoy, something I think is a requirement of each and every Mario title that's ever been made. While I think Super Mario Run is a fantastic experience, there's a few things to point out that you should be aware of. Firstly, the game needs to be constantly connected to the internet to work. Yes, it's a phone game, and always connected games are becoming more common, but outside of checking data for Toad Rally and your friends' rankings on World Tour levels, nothing seems to be based on a server. After several hours over the past few days of many runs of Toad Rally and levels in World Tour, it looks like I used just under 10 megabytes of data on AT&T's LTE network. That's not a ton, but it can add up quickly, especially for those on small data plans. There's also a large initial download, around 100 or so megabytes after you download the game from the App Store. At no point does it tell you to be on Wi-Fi for this, like similar download content games do. I understand it needs to be online for the friend rankings and Toad Rally, but just because the game is on a phone doesn't mean it should constantly suck down data. This is a practice that is becoming all too common with mobile games. As far as I can tell, the game's levels and content are all stored in-app, which means there's never really any load times based on connection speed, but it doesn't seem that Super Mario Run should really need to be online unless you want to play the Toad Rally or really want to see your friends' scores on levels. In fact, Nintendo claims this always connected feature is to prevent piracy of the game, and since there's no other in-app purchases outside unlocking the full game, large-scale piracy could hurt the bottom line. Yes, it happens, and it's going to happen to Super Mario Run, but I don't think to the degree Nintendo assumes it will. This kind of thing should not jump out and surprise players, especially parents of younger children given the game to play in a long car ride or something who risk being alarmed by a hefty data overage fee. The other thing to mention goes back to the platform. Right now, Super Mario Run is an iOS exclusive. Mr. Miyamoto premiered the game at Apple's own event, and Apple took out a huge marketing push on the App Store, with banner ads and a dedicated page about the game well before it was even available. Since Apple gets 30% of sales on apps on the App Store, Apple and Nintendo must have worked out some kind of deal for this timed exclusivity. Apple helps push the wildly popular Mario's first game on their device, which ensures audience awareness and practically guarantees people will at least try it. And then they bank $3 or so off of everyone who decides to buy the full game. I know many Android users who are miffed that they can't play Super Mario Run right now, but it will eventually come out for Android smart devices, presumably without many changes or differences from the iOS version. So let's go back to talking about that price. Hitting that paywall after the first few levels and seeing the sticker price is hard. While I like the idea of almost presenting the game like a demo of sorts, the fact is that Apple and Nintendo were not super forthcoming about the game's cost. They could have, and I think they should have, just made the game a set cost to buy directly from the App Store, and even been more upfront with the fact that there are no ads or microtransactions within the game. There would have been less confusion over the final price tag. While those can be seen as pretty critical strikes against the game, I think it's worth remembering that the game itself is really incredible. Super Mario Run captures the feeling of a great classic Mario Bros. Game with that pick-up-and-play flair that helped make mobile gaming so successful. I think we all know that porting a normal Mario game to touchscreen smart devices would be abysmal. There is no touch control scheme remotely good enough that would make that game feel right to fans of the plumber. By taking away the control of running, focusing on the jumping, and building levels and mechanics around that, Super Mario Run doesn't feel like a common phone game. It feels like an extension of the Mario games so many of us grew up with. And with Miyamoto himself leading the project, how could it not? Super Mario Run does everything that a great Mario game should accomplish. It's accessible, it's simple, it's charming, and it's incredibly fun to play.